McDonald's had the #1 taste in chicken, so start dipping. McDonald's chicken.
Fast food giant is seeing a meaningful hit to its business because customers in the region and elsewhere have been boycotting the chain for its.
You bite into a McDonald's Chicken McNugget expecting that familiar crispy coating and tender chicken inside. But what if that crunch isn't just the breading? What if it's a piece of hard plastic that could choke you, cut your throat, or cause internal damage that requires emergency surgery? In May 2025, that nightmare became reality for thousands of McDonald's customers across the United States. What started as isolated complaints about weird textures in McNuggets quickly escalated into one of the largest food recalls in McDonald's history. Over 1 million Chicken McNuggets were pulled from stores after customers discovered plastic fragments up to 1.5 inches long embedded in their food. But this wasn't just a manufacturing accident. It was the culmination of years of supply chain problems, quality control failures, and corporate cost-cutting that put profits ahead of customer safety. But here's what McDonald's doesn't want you to know. This recall was preventable, the plastic contamination had been happening for months before they acted, and the health risks are far more serious than the company has admitted publicly. The recall that shocked America. It started with a TikTok video that went viral in early May 2025. A customer in Ohio bit into a 10-piece McNugget meal and felt something hard crack between her teeth. When she spit it out, she found a jagged piece of blue plastic nearly an inch long, sharp enough to cut her finger when she picked it up. "I could have choked on this," she said in the video, holding up the plastic fragment next to the half-eaten nugget. "This could have killed me, and McDonald's is just serving this to people like it's normal." The video exploded across social media, garnering over 2 million views in 24 hours. But what made it truly alarming was the flood of comments from other customers sharing similar experiences. Dozens of people posted photos of plastic pieces they'd found in their McNuggets over the previous months. Some as large as 1.5 inches, others small but sharp enough to cause serious injury. Within 48 hours of the video going viral, McDonald's was forced to issue an emergency recall. The company announced that approximately 1 million Chicken McNuggets distributed to restaurants across 12 states contained foreign material that posed a potential health hazard. The recall affected nuggets produced between March 15th and May 1st, 2025, at a Tyson Foods facility in Tennessee. But the recall announcement raised more questions than it answered. If McDonald's knew about the contamination in March, why did it take until May to act? How many customers had already consumed plastic-contaminated nuggets? And most importantly, how did over 1 million nuggets leave the factory with dangerous foreign objects inside them? The supply chain nightmare. The contaminated McNuggets all traced back to a single Tyson Foods processing facility in Shelbyville, Tennessee, one of McDonald's largest chicken suppliers. According to internal documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, the facility had been experiencing equipment problems for months before the recall. The plastic contamination originated from a conveyor belt system used to transport raw chicken through the processing line. The belt, which was supposed to be replaced every 6 months, had been in use for over a year due to cost-cutting measures implemented in late 2024. As the belt deteriorated, pieces of blue plastic began breaking off and mixing with the chicken. "The belt was literally falling apart," said a former Tyson employee who worked at the facility. "We could see pieces of plastic in the chicken, but management told us to just pick out what we could see and keep the line moving. They said stopping production would cost too much money." The employee, who spoke on condition of anonymity, described a culture where production quotas took priority over food safety. Workers were pressured to maintain high speeds on the processing line, making it impossible to catch all the plastic contamination. When workers did report finding plastic pieces, they were told to remove them and continue processing rather than shut down the line for inspection. Quality control inspections that were supposed to happen every hour were often skipped during busy periods. The metal detectors designed to catch foreign objects were calibrated to detect metal, not plastic, allowing the contaminated nuggets to pass through undetected. "We were processing thousands of pounds of chicken every hour," the former employee explained. "There was no way to catch every piece of plastic, especially when management was telling us to prioritize speed over safety." The situation was made worse by understaffing at the facility. Tyson had laid off experienced quality control workers in early 2024 as part of cost reduction efforts, leaving fewer people to monitor the production line for problems. The cover-up attempts. Internal emails obtained through the recall investigation reveal that both Tyson and McDonald's were aware of the plastic contamination problem weeks before the public recall was announced. Customer complaints about foreign objects in McNuggets had been steadily increasing since March 2025, but both companies initially dismissed them as isolated incidents. A McDonald's customer service representative in Atlanta documented over 30 complaints about hard objects in McNuggets during the month of April alone. The complaints described plastic pieces, metal fragments, and other foreign materials. But instead of investigating the pattern, McDonald's corporate office instructed customer service to offer meal vouchers and asked customers not to post about their experiences on social media. "We had a script we were supposed to follow," revealed a former McDonald's customer service employee. "When someone called about finding something in their food, we were told to apologize, offer them free food, and ask them to send us the contaminated product for testing. But the testing never happened. The samples just got thrown away." The cover-up extended to social media monitoring. McDonald's hired a digital reputation management company to track mentions of foreign objects in McNuggets and attempt to minimize their visibility. The company used automated systems to report negative posts as spam and contacted social media platforms to request removal of videos showing contaminated food. Tyson Foods was equally complicit in the cover-up. When McDonald's quality assurance teams visited the Tennessee facility in April 2025, Tyson temporarily shut down the problematic production line and cleaned the equipment. The inspectors saw a sanitized version of the operation and reported no significant issues. "It was all theater," said the former Tyson employee. "They knew when McDonald's was coming, so they'd shut down the bad equipment and run everything through the newer lines. As soon as the inspectors left, we'd go back to using the broken conveyor belt." The health risks nobody talks about. While McDonald's and Tyson focused on damage control, medical experts were raising serious concerns about the health risks posed by plastic contamination in food. Dr. Sarah Martinez, a gastroenterologist at Johns Hopkins Hospital, explained that ingesting plastic fragments can cause a range of serious medical problems. "Sharp plastic pieces can lacerate the mouth, throat, and digestive tract," Dr. Martinez said. "Even small fragments can cause choking, especially in children. Larger pieces can cause intestinal blockages that require emergency surgery to remove. The risks are particularly high for the demographic that consumes the most McNuggets: children and teenagers. Their smaller airways and digestive systems make them more vulnerable to choking and internal injuries from foreign objects." Dr. Martinez treated 3 patients in April 2025 who required medical attention after consuming contaminated McNuggets, though she didn't realize the connection until after the recall was announced. One patient, a 7-year-old boy, needed emergency surgery to remove a plastic fragment that had become lodged in his small intestine. "The plastic piece was about an inch long and had sharp edges," Dr. Martinez explained. "It had punctured the intestinal wall and was causing internal bleeding. If his parents had waited another few hours to bring him to the hospital, he could have died from sepsis." Another patient, a 14-year-old girl, suffered lacerations to her throat and esophagus from a jagged plastic fragment. She required multiple surgeries to repair the damage and still has difficulty swallowing certain foods. "These aren't minor injuries," Dr. Martinez emphasized. "Plastic contamination in food can cause permanent damage or death. The fact that McDonald's allowed this to continue for months is unconscionable." Toxicologist Dr. Robert Chen raised additional concerns about the chemical risks of ingesting plastic. The blue plastic from the conveyor belt contained industrial dyes and stabilizers that aren't meant for human consumption. When plastic breaks down in the digestive system, it can release toxic chemicals, Dr. Chen explained. These chemicals can cause inflammation, disrupt hormone function, and potentially increase cancer risk with repeated exposure. The pattern of contamination. The McNugget recall wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a disturbing pattern of foreign object contamination in McDonald's food that had been escalating throughout 2024 and 2025. A review of FDA recall databases and customer complaints reveals dozens of similar incidents involving McDonald's products. In January 2025, McDonald's recalled apple slices after customers found metal fragments in Happy Meals across 6 states. In March 2025, Big Mac buns were pulled from restaurants in Texas after customers discovered pieces of plastic packaging baked into the bread. The most disturbing incident occurred in February 2025, when a customer in California found a 2-inch screw in their quarter pounder. The screw had apparently fallen from processing equipment at a beef supplier's facility and made it all the way to the customer's plate without being detected. "We're seeing a clear pattern of quality control failures across McDonald's supply chain," said food safety expert Dr. Lisa Thompson. "This isn't just bad luck, it's systematic negligence that's putting millions of customers at risk." The pattern extends beyond McDonald's to the broader fast food industry. In 2025 alone, there have been over 200 recalls involving foreign objects in processed foods, a 40% increase from 2024. The increase coincides with widespread cost-cutting measures implemented by food processors struggling with inflation and labor shortages. "Companies are cutting corners on quality control to maintain profit margins," Dr. Thompson explained. "They're reducing inspection staff, delaying equipment maintenance, and prioritizing speed over safety. The result is more contaminated food reaching consumers." The whistleblower revelations. The full scope of the McNugget contamination became clear when multiple Tyson Foods employees came forward with detailed accounts of the conditions at the Tennessee facility. Their revelations painted a picture of systematic safety violations and corporate indifference to consumer welfare. Maria Rodriguez, a quality control inspector who worked at the facility for 3 years, described how safety protocols were routinely ignored during busy periods. "We were supposed to inspect every batch of nuggets for foreign objects," she said. "But when production was behind schedule, management would tell us to skip inspections and just keep the line moving." Rodriguez documented numerous safety violations in reports to her supervisors, but her concerns were consistently dismissed. When she threatened to report the problems to federal inspectors, she was transferred to a different shift and eventually laid off. "They made it clear that speaking up about safety issues was career suicide," Rodriguez said. "Workers who raised concerns were labeled as troublemakers and pushed out of the company." Another whistleblower, maintenance worker James Patterson, revealed that the conveyor belt system had been malfunctioning for over a year before the recall. The belt was supposed to be replaced every 6 months, but the company kept delaying the replacement to save money, Patterson said. By the time of the recall, the belt was so deteriorated that plastic pieces were breaking off constantly. Patterson said he had submitted multiple work orders requesting belt replacement, but they were repeatedly denied due to budget constraints. "Management told us to just patch the belt with tape and keep using it," he said. "They knew it was contaminating the food, but they didn't care as long as production numbers stayed high." The whistleblower accounts were corroborated by internal Tyson documents obtained through the recall investigation. The documents show that company executives were aware of the equipment problems but chose to delay repairs to avoid production downtime. The regulatory response. The McNugget recall prompted immediate action from federal regulators who had been tracking the increase in food contamination incidents. The Food Safety and Inspection Service, FSIS, launched a comprehensive investigation of the Tyson facility and implemented new oversight measures for high-volume food processors. The McNugget recall represents a serious failure of food safety systems, said FSIS Administrator Dr. Patricia Williams. "We're implementing enhanced inspection protocols and increasing penalties for companies that prioritize profits over consumer safety." The investigation revealed that the Tyson facility had been operating under a self-inspection program that allowed the company to monitor its own compliance with safety standards. Under this system, Tyson employees were responsible for conducting quality control checks and reporting violations to federal inspectors. The self-inspection system created obvious conflicts of interest, Dr. Williams explained. Companies had financial incentives to overlook safety problems and avoid reporting violations that could shut down production. As a result of the McNugget recall, FSIS announced new regulations requiring independent third-party inspections at all high-volume food processing facilities. The regulations also mandate real-time reporting of safety violations and impose automatic production shutdowns when foreign object contamination is detected. The FDA also launched a broader investigation into foreign object contamination across the food industry. The investigation found that contamination incidents had increased by 60% since 2020, with most cases involving cost-cutting measures that compromise safety systems. The legal fallout. The McNugget recall triggered a wave of lawsuits against both McDonald's and Tyson Foods. Personal injury attorneys filed class action suits on behalf of customers who suffered injuries from consuming contaminated nuggets, while families of affected children sought damages for medical expenses and trauma. The most significant lawsuit was filed by the family of 8-year-old Emma Chen, who required emergency surgery after swallowing a 1.2-inch plastic fragment. The plastic piece had perforated her intestinal wall, causing internal bleeding and a life-threatening infection. Emma was just eating her happy meal when she started choking, said her mother, Linda Chen. We rushed her to the hospital, and doctors found this huge piece of plastic in her stomach. She almost died because McDonald's couldn't be bothered to keep plastic out of their food. Emma's surgery required removing a section of her small intestine, and she faces potential long-term digestive problems. The family's lawsuit seeks $10 million in damages and demands that McDonald's implement comprehensive safety reforms. Other lawsuits focus on the psychological trauma experienced by customers who discovered foreign objects in their food. Many plaintiffs report developing anxiety about eating at restaurants and suffering from post-traumatic stress related to the contamination incidents. Finding a piece of plastic in your food is traumatic, said attorney Michael Roberts, who represents multiple McNugget contamination victims. These customers trusted McDonald's to provide safe food, and that trust was betrayed in the most dangerous way possible. The lawsuits have also revealed additional evidence of corporate negligence. Discovery documents show that McDonald's executives received regular reports about foreign object complaints, but chose not to investigate the pattern until media attention forced their hand. The industry-wide problem. The McNugget recall highlighted broader problems with food safety oversight in the fast food industry. Cost-cutting measures implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic had weakened quality control systems across multiple companies, creating conditions ripe for contamination incidents. The fast food industry has been cutting safety corners for years, said food industry analyst Jennifer Walsh. Companies reduced inspection staff, delayed equipment maintenance, and prioritized speed over safety. The McNugget recall was inevitable given these conditions. The problem is exacerbated by the industry's reliance on high-volume processing facilities that prioritize efficiency over safety. These facilities process millions of pounds of food daily, making it difficult to maintain consistent quality control standards. Supply chain consolidation has also increased risks. A single contaminated facility can affect millions of customers across multiple restaurant chains, as seen in the McNugget recall that impacted McDonald's locations in 12 states. When you have a few massive facilities supplying food to thousands of restaurants, a single safety failure can have catastrophic consequences, Walsh explained. The industry needs to rethink its approach to food safety and quality control. What this means for you. The McNugget recall offers important lessons for consumers about the hidden risks in fast food and the importance of staying vigilant about food safety. While companies like McDonald's spend billions on marketing their food as safe and wholesome, the reality behind the scenes can be very different. The most important lesson is to trust your instincts when eating. If food tastes, feels, or looks wrong, stop eating immediately. The customers who discovered plastic in their McNuggets could have suffered serious injuries if they had continued eating despite noticing something was wrong. Parents need to be especially careful when feeding fast food to children. Kids are more likely to swallow foreign objects without realizing the danger, and their smaller bodies are more vulnerable to serious injuries from contamination. It's also important to report food safety incidents to both the restaurant and regulatory authorities. Many of the customers who found plastic in their McNuggets initially only complained to McDonald's, allowing the company to cover up the problem. Reporting incidents to the FDA or FSIS creates an official record that can trigger investigations and recalls. The McNugget recall also demonstrates the power of social media in exposing corporate negligence. The viral TikTok video that sparked the recall showed how customer voices can force companies to take action when traditional complaint channels fail. Most importantly, The recall shows that consumers can't rely on companies to prioritize safety over profits. The food industry is driven by cost-cutting and efficiency, often at the expense of quality control. Customers need to stay informed, ask questions, and hold companies accountable when they fail to meet basic safety standards. The next time you bite into a McNugget or any other processed food, remember Emma Chen and the other victims of McDonald's negligence. Remember that the crispy coating and familiar taste can hide dangerous contamination that could seriously harm you or your family. Your health is worth more than convenience, and your safety is more important than any company's profit margins. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never hesitate to speak up when something seems wrong with your food. Because when it comes to food safety, the only person you can truly count on to protect you is yourself.